This is kind of an intro for this next video. I made several and then I didn't put them on because I didn't really like how it was going and what it was doing. So basically this is that '07 Yukon that had the miss, you know, the #1 cylinder and the injector was bad. You saw the video where I replaced the injector and the oil sending unit and stuff, and it still had a miss. What I thought was actually oil, gas fouled, was not. It was actually oil fouled. So I did a compression check on it and I got it up to about 105 to 110 pounds, but it still had a miss and it was still fouling the plug and it was still smoking and stuff. So the decision was just made to go ahead and pull the engine and go from there. So the next set of videos are me, the engine out, looking at it, and you know, so I thought I'd kind of keep you up to date or catch you up on what's going on for the next video, because all of a sudden the next video is going to show the motor on an engine stand. Or if this actually, right, you know, it's going to be right after this intro now. Well, I just pulled this Gen 4 5.3 out of that '07 Yukon, and it was not as easy as the Gen 3 for a couple of reasons. One is that this is the first year the four-wheel drive had the rack and pinion steering and a sway bar almost as big as the front axle tubes, and some of that was in the way. They changed something in the catalytic converter location or orientation, and there's 2 bolts that you cannot get to from underneath with an impact, which you can on the Gen 3s. And then they put, I'm going to walk in front of the camera, they put these, I don't know if you can see them or not, but they put these big heat shields over top of the motor mount, which makes it really fun to try to get to these bolts. Which I ended up finding out the motor mount's broke anyway, but still. Okay, enough complaining, let's get on this. I just pulled the oil out of it, and right now I just got the oil filter just loose. It's still draining in the pan. I'm going to go ahead and start pulling this down. What I'm doing on this video only is I'm just tearing this down enough. I'm going to pull the manifold, the coil pack, valve cover, and head on this side. I may go ahead and pull the head on the other side just to make it so it's not so uneven. Now I'm going to turn it upside down and pull the oil pan, mark #1 piston. I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to measure that cylinder to see if this thing has to go to the machine shop or not. That's all I'm going to do today. I'm not sure how it's going to fall into the other video series, but that will tell me whether I'm going to have to go find a machine shop or whether I can just order the rebuild kit. You know, I'll go ahead and tear the rest of it down. Obviously, before I do that, check the crank and make sure it doesn't need to be turned, check all the bearings. But the first thing I want to do is to see if this thing has to go to a machine shop. So first thing I'm going to do is pull the coil pack and get them out of the way. Well, the guy who gave me this porta cable, man, this thing is nice to have. It is nice to have. Yep, didn't have the old cap on. Put this back on this so I remember to put it back on. It's hold your heater hoses, just a bracket that holds your heater hoses. Kind of how it works. I got a mess over here. My neighbor's trying to come over here in a minute and bother me because he borrowed some parts, or a tap. He's putting a 5.3 in it. Finally getting it done on that crew cab you've seen. I've probably done video 1 or 2. Maybe I haven't. I don't know. Okay. Let's see. I pulled the exhaust manifolds off on this side. Made it easier to pull the. I would say it's easier to pull the engine, but I pulled it because I was having trouble getting the starter out. It's something else that I've always had trouble with the starters, getting them on and off of these, and why they're in. One thing looks clean inside. I'm kind of surprised. I'll show you in a minute. But anyway, pick up this oil cap. Tripping over stuff. I still have a mess. Anyway, I've always had trouble with the starters, having trouble getting them lined back up and get into the place that they're supposed to be. Sometimes I have trouble even just getting them out. And I'm not sure why that is, but it seems to be a pretty common occurrence for me. So this one was even worse. And I don't know why, but for some reason it was really a fighter. So take this bypass tube off. So I'm going to have to pull the hose. I bet I can't get the... Nope. Had a bit of trouble with the hose clamp on this side. I think I tore it smooth up and it still won't let go. What else is new? Newfangled ones are hard for me to figure out, you know. It's just going to get a regular one. Had trouble with the bottom radiator hose too. The clamp was in such a position and it wouldn't allow me to open it up enough to get it off there. So I finally just give up and pulled the fans, electric fans, which again, that wasn't something I planned on doing, but I ended up needing the space anyway. So it worked out. Wrong way. So let's strip the head while we ain't doing nothing. Must have bumped it. There are little O-ring seals. Always remember to put them in or these things will leak. Like I said, that's a crossover tube that they have to have. Keep that in mind. Alright. Let's see here. Pull a rack. Well, not with that apparently. Nope, that's awful noisy and obnoxious. Good night. No, it wasn't going to pull them off, that's for sure. I hope this don't need board, but I don't know, the best I got out of it was, I think I told you why it was actually got warm and stuff. I finally did get like 105, 110 on the compression on that cylinder, and I think number 3 I did next to it, I think it was 155 or something, so it wasn't spectacular on any of them, but you have to have more than 110. So anyway, my neighbor, who's slower at getting stuff done than me, come over and borrowed my tap to do his valve covers that I just pulled off like this on the 5.3s. This is on the driver's side, or passenger side, so I'm keeping these together. Anyway, he unfortunately let his sit so long. The mud daubers built nests on all the holes on the valve cover. so he couldn't get any of the bolts in to hold the coil pack or nothing on. These actually look pretty good. I'm keeping everything together in line. I wonder how many bolts. There's already one on both sides when the manifold broke, of course, and the head. That's typical LS based engines. if that one was going to make it or not. That's not a good sign. They didn't break any of the other ones getting off the other side, but there was one broken. Oh boy. Ah. Ah. Oh boy. Well, that is exactly what I needed to have happen. Somewhere I possess. I have such a mess in here. Still, I'm slowly getting my stuff cleaned up, but not fast enough. See if we make up where the tool won't go back on it. I think I can get in it. No, I don't think I'm gonna be able to. Yes, I do have an impact. And yeah, I'm probably gonna have to use it. Yeah. Well, I might be drilling 3 out instead of just 2. The heck is? Hang on, all my stuff is getting changed around here. There's 13. All right. Sorry about the noise. Sometimes you gotta have noise. Try to keep these in order. Put them on rags here. Anyway, let's check to see also if they were a different length on the DOD active fuel management. I keep trying to call it DOD. Forgive me if I keep calling it that. That's just what I'm used to it being called. But it's active fuel management. And they're different lifters, and I mean way different lifters, not a little bit different. So these are the perimeter bolts for the head, and I can already see a couple of them are I'll have to bring my air compressor over here and blow those off, I think. I don't know how I grabbed it, but it did. I found one of these down in Texas. Like, I can't get to it because I got too much stuff on the road now. Down around Dallas, which is about 6-7 hours away, something like that. It may not be quite that far, but it's a ways. And I can't remember if he said it had lifter tech or something. It's wanting like $700 for it. I mean, that's not bad, but I just don't know. It's an awful big gamble. Go down there and just throw a set of lifters and head gaskets on it and then put the thing in. And then come to find out it was a lot worse than that. So I kind of talked myself out of it. It was such a long drive. But if I can't find a machine shop or they tell me it's going to be a boatload of money, I may have to do that. At least try to find block. That may not need board. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully this is not as bad as I assume it's going to be. And I'll walk in front of the camera again. And drop the bolt. It's gonna be replaced anyway. Doesn't make any difference. Putting them on the floor because, like I said, they're going to end up getting replaced anyway. So I think I'll leave that on there for now. Yeah. Don't make some noise, guys. You have to have. The compressor kicks on entirely too often, don't it? I think I might have said, I don't know, that this thing had spent a couple of years in New York. And when the winter feels funny, I got a hole in the glove. It's like, what is, but I'm not seeing drippage until I loosened the bolts, but there was some, I want to call it scaling of some type. Casting of the head is a $7.99. Trying to let some of this water run out. One thing I do not have is a book on the Gen 4s. I've got them on the Gen 3s, but not the 4s. I assume the bore is the same, Seems how it's the same cubic inch. But I will double check that before I, you know, get carried away and just guess. But I assume that the bore is the same because I've heard of people putting Gen 4 parts in a Gen 3 block. How much of this do I want to wear? Oh, sorry guys, I just moved you. You still seeing stuff? Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be a mess. Even tried turning the engine almost 90 degrees or so, still had oil in, that's why I didn't get carried away trying to get the antifreeze all out. It didn't make any difference. Until you dump it upside, you know, on its end or pull ahead, you're never going to get it all out. It's just the way it works. Well, I wasn't gonna pull these gloves off because I'm getting kind of low on them and you get some on the way. But this one got a hole in it. It feels funny with oil underneath that glove. But I want to show you. I want to pull you off the tripod. I want to show you something. Okay, first off, you can see, you know, that cylinder is quite a bit cleaner. The head is the telltale. Look at number 1 compared to 3, 5, and 7. It was squirting a lot of gasoline in there. So there you go. And that's the reason I'm so concerned about this cylinder being washed out. Now, understand, I usually cuss people who don't pay attention or don't take care of their stuff, or when a check engine light comes on they don't have it looked at, investigated, or whatever. But in this particular case, it probably had already started damaging the engine before the check engine light came on. It probably was starting to run poor, and it may or may not have got a check engine light, because as long as the cylinder was firing, it was you know, it won't show you a code for misfire until it's too late. So I would say that if you would have ran into anything else, I would have been more concerned on possibly like an O2 sensor reading, because what basically would have happened, when you think about how this works, and I am guessing on how the fuel system works on a LS-based engine. So, or any fuel injected, especially electronic fuel injection, where it actually has an injector for each cylinder. The way I see it is, on a cold start, your temperature sensor obviously says, hey, it's cold, I need more fuel to run. So that eliminates having a choke. It's kind of an electronic choke, you know, in its own form. It just throws more fuel in it. And once everything starts warming up, then everything starts to work. Like your cats actually don't start working until they get really hot. So your O2s and stuff start reading. There's a bunch of stuff that starts happening during the warm-up cycle. But once it's hot and warm, then what it basically does is it's checking how much air is coming through the mass air, and then it dumps X amount of fuel, and then your O2s pick up saying, okay, I'm running too lean, I'm running too fat. And then it compensates for that. Now there's an O2 on both sides. I understand there's 4 on most of the new stuff that has a V6, V8, whatever engine, because you've got two behind the cats. All those ones in the back really do is tell you the cats are good or not. They really don't, they don't make the engine run any different, but the front ones do. So here's what I assume was actually going to make it even worse if she continued to drive it, in which she did not because it was giving her other problems, was this one was running straight fuel into it, obviously way more than it could fire. So it was puking straight gas out of, you know, out of the exhaust and right into the cat. So the O2 is picking up that I am running way too fat. So it actually takes these three cylinders, 3, 5, and 7, since it's on that same bank that the O2 is on, and leans those three out a bunch. So you could have done a lot more damage to it if you tried to continue running. But basically what would have happened, you would have completely lost compression in the cylinder. The gasoline would have went straight into the oil, and it would have thinned the oil out bad enough that you would have had other issues. So probably before, you know, you would have had other catastrophic failures. But that's the way I see it, is that the computer actually, how it leans or fattens up the cylinders, in my eyes, I've never researched this, so don't take this at heart. I mean, take this as what I see it, how it works, is that it tells the injectors how long to be open. So if it's running fat, it slows down or you know, it cuts the time that it's open. So if it's open 0.5 seconds normally and it's running fat and it's picking that up, it'll only open 0.3 seconds or something. That's my feeling on how it works, because it's not like the fuel pump can change pressure per cylinder. You know what I'm saying? And the same with the recirculation part of it. I mean, whatever's not being used is just forced back. But and that's how I see the fuel injection systems work. So I'm tired of talking about it. Let's continue going. There may be somebody out there who knows more than me and may correct me on that, and that is, you know, that's fine. Like I said, I don't know everything about these. I diagnose it, I try to figure it out. It works, it doesn't work, you know what I mean? It's just kind of the way it works. You know what I'm going to do? Why don't I dump this engine this side, see if I can get some of the coolant out of it. Maybe there won't be so much on the other side. Yeah, right, I know. Grasping at straws. God, I go with my screwdriver. Or my locking pin for the safety orientated guys. Make sure you fill my shoes clear up. Alright, go to this side. See how much I can fill my shoe up. Yeah. I didn't take them off necessarily in sequence, but some close to being in sequence, I guess I should say. I can't believe with 200,000 miles of how clean this thing looks. Of course, it's probably had all the gasoline running through it, keeping it clean. The oil wasn't super thin, but it was dirty. It was thinner, you know, than, but it wasn't scary. Alright, see how much I get. Not quite as bad. But it's still got antifreeze in it. Still running on the floor. Of course. I've had this stuff for about 15 years or so. Alright. Stuff, Wow. Wow. Can't hang on to anything. Still can't hang on to it, even what was in my hand. I don't know what the bolts on that thing are for. If I can't get it off, I know. Come on. Let's see. I wish that these bolts are neat. So, good grief. Lost my snot rag here, and there we go. I'm going to throw them bolts in this cam dip, get them started to clean up as well. There we go. Alright, let's get this pan off. Ugh. Let's see here. I'm going to forget that's there, and I'm going to be aggravated. Matter of fact, I want to just use it first. It's for the pickup tube. Everything else I think is 13, but for the windage tray and the pickup tube. But the one that hooks to the pickup tube to the pump is 10 millimeter headed. Let's get this out of the way first. That came out way too easy. It doesn't look too distorted, but it came out really easy. I'm going to put the bolt back in the oil pump. I'm not reusing the oil pump, but I seem to have better luck putting stuff like that and then remembering where it's at than throwing it in a pile and coming up with one bolt. Where does this bolt go? Alright. Windage tray only goes on one way. It actually says front. I can't believe I lost it. I found it right away. Something too funny. Always remember this. You drop a nut while you're trying to put this windage tray on. You drop that nut in the engine while you're trying to put it on. You would think that it would fall in the engine easy. You just turn the engine over and fall back out again. No. Negative. It is not how it works. Alright, I'm going to pull number 1, so I'm going to mark it real quick with my stamps. Now, I've been told that the Gen 4s are actually a little bit better quality rod and stuff. I do not know that for a fact, but I've heard a lot of what I've found on the forums. Maybe I better say that. I've seen a lot of people say that they like to use the Gen 4 internals. The reluctor ring is different. Like I said, I knew that, but you know, all the ones that fell out weren't even close to the ones I wanted. I mean, I understand just pull number 1. I don't really have to do this, but I'm going to do this so that I don't forget. My hammer's out in the shed, so I have to use this big ugly thing. Happy with that, I guess. Well, it is not 7/16. I think it's like an 11, if I recall. I don't even think I have an 11 out. 10. Where's my 11? 14. It's an ugly 11. I'm going to go buy me a new one. Holy cow! Ah. You're getting the first look at this, just like me. I don't know if you're picking up on it or not, but it's scuffed, but it doesn't appear to be trash, if that makes any sense. Let's see what the crank looks like. Yeah. It doesn't feel bad. Of course, that doesn't mean much. That piston came up easy. The oil ring is not stuck, like has been in several of my endeavors. You can see how the oil is actually going past all these rings. It's not because I turned the engine upside down or sprayed any in there. It's done because it's, you know, these things are pretty used up. So what I'm going to do real quick is get the bore off of my turn the engine back upside down, and I'm going to get the bore size just to make sure. I may Google that, but I'm just kind of curious if they're the same, but I'm almost positive the Gen 3 and Gen 4 share the same bore. Just, you know, I'm pretty sure of that. Oh, it just ran 500 gallons of oil all over my floor. Alright, you got the avalanche keys? Unless you can get that Toyota through the avalanche, I don't think it's going to go, baby. Okay, what am I after? Yes, book. I need knowledge. Chilton Book of Knowledge. Actually, this is Haynes. And somebody is texting me. What else is new? Alright. Let's go. That's body, suspension, transfer case, emission control, electrical system, heat and cool, general, V8 engine. Torque specs. General. Bore 5.3 is 3.779. It's close to 70 degrees, but I wish you'd leave it warm up to at least pick the oil pressure up before we dropped it in gear, got down the end of the driveway. Oh, well, whatever. The bore is 3.779. I don't want to set that up there because it's dirty. So why don't we, really quick, find all my tools that I should have had prepared prior to starting this, and I did not. Say 3.5. This is 3.5 to 6. .779. You're going to cover my tools with garbage. I'm using my inside snap gauges and my Starrett dial caliper, and I am at 3.81. I'm at, I know you can't see that, but that's where you're at. There you go. I don't know if it's on my glove or it's on that, but that measures. There's the 3, and then the 7. You don't see the 8 yet. 8.1. So now, mind you, that is using inside snap gauges to a caliper, so I could be off a tad. This is not the right tools for the job, but it tells me that it's close, but I don't know what I'm allowed. So I'm going to have to look that up, and I will bring you back as soon as I get some information. So if there's any questions you have up until this point, once this video comes out, absolutely feel free to ask. I am not the all-knowing, and I haven't even got this thing tore down yet all the way. I will show you the rest of the tear down. I've got to work the next couple 3 days, and we got vacation coming up, but this engine has to get done. I found out yesterday that he's going to be back basically just over a month, and I'm going to be gone for about a week or so out of town at the beginning of December, and I'm going to have to work a bunch of extra. So this is why I had to get this checked to see if it needs to be bored, because if it does, I need to strip it as soon as I can, probably this afternoon, and try to find, tomorrow while I'm at work, Google around and see if I can find somebody who's decent on a machine shop that's willing to do this in a reasonable amount of time, and then get a set of pistons. That is going to be the most expensive thing, is the actual machine work. So basically that's a minimum of 2,000s over, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you know what I ought to do? That piston number 3 is quite a ways down. Why don't we just experiment? Why don't I just grab the one next to it and see if it's any worse? That's a good idea. Way to be thinking ahead, right? I'm trying to get down about the middle of the cylinder. That's where you really want to be, because that's where the most wear is going to be, is in the centers, because that's where the rings ride all the time. They're not always at the top, they're not always at the bottom, but they're always in the center, you know what I mean? That's usually where they're always ride. Alright, so we'll check number 3. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. I'm not even sure what you're looking at. And you know what? It is exactly the same. 3.781. We may have lucked out. I will check them all, of course. And again, I know I'm not exactly using the right tool for the job, but seeing as how it's the same as the other one, and I did the compression on the next one over. This one I said at the best point, once I changed the, but before I changed the actual, because I know I put this on a video out already, but before I changed the, the fuel injector, I had 90 pounds. Once I changed it and got the gas out and the oil up in, adding oil will always gain you compression. So that could be good, that could be bad, because burning oil is just about as bad as you know. I mean, the gas would have ruined everything. The burning oil just means it, you know, tears up your your cat sure don't like it, and emissions don't like it because they're sitting there blowing smoke all the time. But anyway, you know, I actually still see the hash marks or the in that cylinder. And you can still see the hash marks in it. So now I haven't wiped this one out, but so I do see that it's sat for a while, and it did have some gas or oil in there, or a little bit of water in it. So, but I am not seeing gouges or anything that really scares me. And there was still some coating, not a lot, but there was still some coating on the piston. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. I really can't feel it, but I can't. Yeah, I do. I can still feel it. I may still have to get pistons for it, but these actually are not pressed. If I'm not mistaken, these have snap rings in them. They do, and you can actually change the pistons yourself. You don't have to take them to a machine shop or have a press do it. So I may look into it. I looked at Rock Auto and they didn't have any of them for sale. They were out of stock. So okay, guys, that's where I'm going to stop right now. I'm really happy for not only him but for me. Trying to hunt. I do need to find a machine shop to do LS stuff, because I do have a 6-liter over here on the floor that didn't sound the best when I first, you know, when I took it out of the original vehicle it was in, well, the vehicle I put it in, and then I, what else? Oh, the 6.0 that's in the Suburban. I don't know if you've seen the video on it yet or not. It actually has a bit of piston slap. So I imagine it's going to need some help too. But anyway, guys, I'm pretty happy about this. I will still show you the teardown on this, because I want to show you how the active fuel management lifters look. And I'm going to pull the front of this out. I assume that has something to do with that. I don't think that's part of the variable valve timing, because this doesn't. I've told this engine does not have variable valve timing, but I don't know. And but anyway, I will bring you back for the rest of the teardown. So I will see you guys then. Thanks.